Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing, with your hosts Glenn Thayer and the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young.
Folks, welcome back to another podcast. Tom and I are going to be talking today about customer testimonials online. What you need to do, the do's, the don'ts. What does a customer testimonial look like? Is it video? Is it written? Let's just jump right in here, Tom, and let's find out what should our listeners and viewers be looking for. And by the way, speaking of viewers and listeners, this was brought up by one of our viewers in the past to go over customer testimonials. So if you want us to review something, remember you can always send us an email at info@intuitivewebsites.com. So let's just jump right into this. Let's talk about testimonials, Tom. What is a testimonial?
Well, we actually get quite often clients will ask us, and we hear from people about, how should I include testimonials on my website, or how should I include case studies or work we've done with other clients or customers. And the web is really taken off with this, and in fact social media is really driven by this as far as what will produce results for a company. And it's just important, I think, to understand that there are lots of myths and misconceptions around testimonials and customer reviews and how they work and where they're effective and where they're not effective. And so what I want to do in the podcast is talk about that a little bit and talk about it strategically. And I want to start by saying that there's really four types of testimonials or interactions that we hear about on the web. And here are the four most common. The first one is a client list. So if you're putting a client list or a customer list of any kind on your website to show the kind of work you do, that's a form of getting a testimonial from a client, because you're basically using the client's name to help you market your business. So that's number one, would be a client list. Number two would be testimonials that are written out for you that you include on your website, maybe with the customer's name or the customer's company or something like that. A third form of this is actual customer reviews, and we could call these customer or client reviews. And what they would be folks that are interacting with you on social media or on your website and reviewing products or services and talking about your business. So these are usually generated by the website user or by your customer or client or potential client. And then a final way to look at this is what we would call case studies, or some type of information about your history and work with customers or clients. And just to keep it simple, we'll call those case studies. So there's four types of ways of looking at testimonials or customer client supports. And I think, what's real important to note is that the most effective by far is the customer reviews, or when customers interact on their own with your website or with your social media, because those are very much legitimate and much more on target to what people want to see. Whereas the other forms, client lists, testimonials online, and case studies, are created by you, by the company. And if they're created by you, then they're much more likely to be positive. And people know that they're going to see testimonials that are positive and that you created them. So because of that, there's less value in them. Well, there's more value in real reviews.
Let's go back and let's talk about the other ones, because obviously there's customer reviews, but when we start looking at those other three, the client lists, the testimonials, and the case studies, wouldn't it depend upon what type of business you had, whether you had an e-commerce store or whether you were a service-based business? Sometimes, if you have a niche market, you may not know, your target clientele may not know how you do things or how to interact with you, or how do you work with customers. And I found many times personally, case studies are great, because I can go in there and go, they'll work with someone like me, and here's an example. And here's one example of a small business that this service-based organization worked with. Those really are helpful, I find personally. Customer reviews, not as much on a service-based business, because then you're dealing with things like Angie's List, which is I think like a handyman service type listing service, a Yelp, which obviously works really well. A Yelp works great when you're dealing with dining. I find I use that all the time. Mm-hmm. But when you're looking at a service-based business like Intuitive Websites, let's take a look at that. From that example, if you look at what we're doing, if we have a case study and this is what we've done with a large format client, let's say we have a medical client, we're looking at the medical client saying, okay, well, this is what we've done and this is how we can utilize different ways of marketing using internet marketing for our medical client. Well, then let's flip over here and say, let's look at a real estate agent and what can we do with the real estate agent, and here's what we can do with e-commerce. And so there's different ways to look at it, and I think case studies are really, really effective with that. Now, if we can bundle case studies with those customer reviews, and I like to think from a service-based business, it's almost a testimonial / customer review.
Right.
And that would be something there. What, Tom, do you find is most effective, what you've seen?
Well, I think that you make a good point here, and I'd like to divide companies into 4 categories. One is whether you're a B2B or B2C. That's the first 2 categories.
Business to consumer or business to business.
Right. And then the second category would be whether you have services or products or combinations of both. So based on how you set yourself up, you're going to have different variations of testimonials. And it seems to me that if you're more on the B2C side and you're working with a wider marketplace and you have products that are easy and tangible to review, then customer reviews are going to be even more powerful. If you're more on the B2B side and more service, like what we are, then case studies are going to be more important. But however you can supplement and support any testimonials you do with actual live customer-client interactions, that's the most powerful way to go in all 4 categories. I think that what tends to happen is, folks that are in one area, for example, if you're, let's say, a B2C service company, you may not use customer reviews because service is intangible. And somebody can have a bad day and get bad service, and then their reviews are horrible. But I think the mistake that we see our clients make that you want to avoid, regardless of what business you're in, is that testimonials alone will work, right? That testimonials have some kind of magic effect that are going to get results for you. They don't. They have to work in complement with the rest of your website, with the rest of your content and your strategy overall. They really, in a lot of ways, are just a nice to have support to that. But if you're going to do them, really try to shoot for the live customer reviews that will happen through social media or through product reviews on your website and through maybe even service reviews on your website as well.
Well, you bring an interesting point up. Talk about testimonials. Testimonials, too, let's not forget the celebrity endorsement. That's something that goes a long way. If there's somebody who's respected in the industry that you happen to be working in or supplying services to, and we're talking like more on a service-based end, if you have somebody who is knowledgeable, you have somebody who is a doctor, somebody who can say, hey, these guys are awesome. And obviously, when you start getting into paid endorsements versus somebody who's used your product or service and said, no, you're on it, obviously endorsements that come from people who love the service you provide are number one. Because obviously when you start getting into paid endorsements and celebrity endorsements, you're looking at not only an outlay of cash, but it's very, very clear you have to write on there from a legal standpoint. You have to say, hey, we have a celebrity endorsement here, that they're getting paid to do that.
Absolutely.
And that's not really what we're talking about here from a testimonial standpoint. It's more people that love your product. That's something to really look at there, is if you can find somebody who's a celebrity, if the mayor of your city uses your product or service and you can get them to say, yeah, I use them, they're great. Now, obviously that might be a conflict if you're the mayor, but if you can get the mayor to endorse you, good on you.
Well, and I think that when you get an endorsement from somebody that knows you, that any other endorsements you have that follow that or testimonials have more power to them. Because for the most part, most B2B companies do business with businesses we've never heard of, right? And so you're not going to always get the big celebrity endorsement or the well-known company. But if you can get one or two or even marginally known companies, then the rest are much more powerful. And I think it's a good point. Now, as far as the actual reviews go, or the online reviews, that's just going to be the general public. The thing that most of our clients lose sleep over is when they get a negative review, or they get the one person that decides they're going to vent some frustration on this Facebook posting. In fact, we just had a client this morning who got a negative post on their Facebook, and he was very concerned about that. And basically what you have to do is consider the source and consider the fact that all of this, the internet, social media, has a self-policing view of customer reviews. So we are capable as internet users to understand the source of the review and whether or not it's legitimate or not. Now, for example, a major hosting company recently had several servers go down nationwide. And in fact, it was a big thing that impacted several hosting companies. And those Facebook pages lit up with people that were upset and frustrated. That is a much more expected and organic response from customer reviews than the one solo person that will go in and post some negative comments. And I think that, those hosting companies, when they went down, they are just going to lose people. I mean, that's just going to happen. When they have downtime, they will lose customers. And so the power of those customer reviews are in, is this something that's legitimate to the industry, or is it a one-time thing that I can just ignore and not lose sleep over?
You mentioned when somebody has, like the client this morning that had the negative Facebook post. One great thing with social media is it actually becomes an opportunity. It becomes an opportunity, yes, for you to reach out and fix it. If not fix it, but have a conversation publicly with this person who happens to be upset with your product or service. And you have an opportunity to say, how do we fix this? Is it legitimate? Is it, what ways do you have to do it? But you can publicly show everyone that's out there in social media that, hey, if we have an issue, we're going to step in and we're going to acknowledge it and we're going to fix it and make it right. We're going to put in the structures in place to be able to have it be successful for everybody.
It's a good point, because if you look right now at what happens with people that interact with the internet, is that the community itself will also fix it. And people will jump in and say, well, that's just an irrelevant comment. That doesn't apply to my experience with this company and so forth. And that happening is so powerful. It's probably the most powerful thing you can expect from testimonials, is if somebody comes in and fixes a bad comment. What's also interesting is that the people that are loyal to your company and loyal to the services, products you provide are much more likely to jump in and fix it. It's also a little bit of a downside with the internet too, because people with like minds tend to hang out in the same areas. And so anyone that has a different mindset or a different viewpoint gets quickly filtered out by that community. But that's just the way it works. And you have to work on your loyal customer base to help you do that. And then what will happen is you'll attract the right kind of customer to you for your service and products. And that's really, in a nutshell, the best way to use testimonials and feedback from your clients and customers.
I have one last thing before we wrap up here, Tom. What are your thoughts on people that do product reviews online? I mean, there are a lot of YouTube channels that are completely dedicated to product reviews. I know one of them is EvanTube HD. My son loves it. All he'll do, my son's 8, he'll just sit and he will watch EvanTube all day long. And now this is another kid about his same age named Evan that does product reviews, does reviews of going to Legoland, whatever happens to be. He'll sit there and say, here's a brand new Lego set that I got and it's awesome and I'm going to build it. And they have a little time lapse and he talks about it. He says it's from ages 8 to 12 and this is perfect and it's fun and it has these cool guys. What do you think about product reviews like that, where you have somebody who is not associated with the company, but may have they may have been given a Lego set, especially with EvanTube, that has enough views, has enough push on YouTube to be able to receive free product for reviews?
Yes.
It's a little different than going to the Lego store and purchasing something and saying, I'm going to review it now. What are your thoughts on those folks and utilizing maybe I don't want to say YouTube celebrities, but YouTube celebrities to do customer reviews or product reviews online that aren't associated with your company?
Oh, I think it's a great thing, and I would put it under the listing of celebrity endorsements. And in fact, if you get a positive review from them, I would ask to include that on your website. If you get a negative review from them, try to go fix whatever the negative review was about, and ask them again to look at it again and see if it's been improved. But I would put that somewhat under celebrity endorsements. I would also put it under a category of refers or referrals to your website from other websites, because just having a link to your website from other websites is a form of an endorsement or a testimonial as well. And I think it's important to realize too that there are companies out there that will do fake product reviews or fake listings or fake testimonials, and they'll try to gather that stuff. And just don't do that, because Google is looking out for that kind of thing, and you don't want to get a penalty from Google or get in trouble for them for being listed as a spammer or for listing fake product reviews or fake reviews or testimonials on your Google Plus page or in your social media. Keep it legit and make it 100% upfront. And I think what you'll find if you do that, you'll get excellent results. And really, the challenge should be in developing a web strategy and services and products that are excellent. That's that's the difficult part. Then reaching out to people and just asking for the endorsements and setting up a system so those endorsements and testimonials can flow through. And if you do that, the web, is wide open for that kind of thing, and it's an excellent way to market your company.
Tom, any additional action items for our viewers and listeners this time around?
Well, yeah, I think that you want to develop a client list. You want to go out and get testimonials from clients that you might have to help them write them, and then get those on your website, sprinkle them out throughout the website. You want to have a process in your website so people can give you feedback on your products if you're e-commerce, if you're a service-based company, on your services through social media or maybe even on your website. And I think if you're a service-based company, definitely look at case studies. And if you're a high-end product company where you're selling products that are expensive, case studies work well for that as well, and you can put those right in your product listings. This all needs to be then incorporated with your regular website content, your blog postings, and so forth, and part of your content marketing and social media plan. And I would look to try to post new content and get testimonials and that's this kind of thing weekly if possible, but at the most monthly. And if you do that, you're going to be well on your way to getting results from your website.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Tom. And folks, like I said before, is if you want us to review a certain subject or something that you're interested in, send us an email at info@intuitivewebsites.com and we will get that included. Thank you so much for joining us again. This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. For more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitiveblog.com. If you have a website you'd like us to review or an issue you would like to see covered in future podcasts, email us at info@intuitivewebsites.com.